Hello, everyone. This is Dandy Dragon, and once again, I am joined by somebody else because we all know Dandy is better with someone else talking instead of him. So today, I am joined by YouTuber and Twitch streamer Sir Pengwin, the most penguins of sirs and the most sirs of penguins. Would you like to introduce yourself for those who don't know you?
Absolutely. Thanks. Hey, everyone. I'm Sir Pengwin. I'm happy to be here with Dandy and talk about some game numbers here. I'm here for the color commentary, I think, more than anything. But I'll do my best to keep up.
All right. And yeah, today we're going to be going over a feudal tier list. And this is not for how strong the civ is. This is not how likely it is to win a tournament. This is specifically for those who are looking at the title for an eco tier list. Now, the criteria for me doing this was how well could I get as many vills as possible, as much eco set up? How quickly could I get their economy established with getting food per minute, the ability to then get upgrades, timings, and the general practice was to try to usually get a second TC up as soon as possible, then transition into any of their secondary options, such as Byzantine Cistern, the Rus Pro Scouting, these sort of mechanics, and then to top it off, to then also try to get trade up. So basically, how long did it take me for that to get going? How strong was it when I got it going? And this is usually done with these. I did my calculations based off when I reached the 8-minute marker and the 12-minute marker, as most civs are either finished or are at least at their peak within that kind of time period. And I was kind of graphing that out as I went. I could show you all the numbers, but we would be here for probably an hour for every civ. So we're going to just kind of drop it down to a very simple thing, and we're going to do a tier list.
I was about to say, what have you pulled me into, Dandy? But let's dive in. Let's do this.
Yes, I dragged in Penguin, not letting him know any details whatsoever. We are going to be starting with everyone's favorite civ. Everyone loves them. Everyone knows them. They're the best. Byzantines. Byzantines has a few unique mechanics that really just breaks down to two things. You have olive oil and you have cisterns. For those who are new to the game or live under a rock, cisterns basically give you faster production, faster research time for all your upgrades, and they give you a gather rate bonus similar to the Aachen from HRE. On top of that, olive oil can be used to get specialized units from their mercenary house. So with that in mind, they have what a lot of people consider to be a very strong economy. They can get basically free units from their olive oil, and their cisterns allow them to produce things quickly, to get their upgrades quickly, and to let them gather resources very quickly. And to put it simply, I think they're one of the upper middle tier eco civs. They were able to get second TC very quickly from a lot of their free stone, because whenever they build a building, they get free stone, and they just kind of boom up very efficiently. So for me, they are in the upper B tier. They are like top of the top B. It is their place now. They are, if they are in a sense almost kind of the average, or the little bit above the average.
I like this. We have our control now. Our control with Byzantines. And you know what? I was gonna say when you said Byzantines are mid upper tier, I thought you were gonna go A, but B kind of just makes sense. Upper B, like you said, because it takes a while to get there early on. Like you can get there and you can defend and things like that, but I think it takes some time because you need wood for the olive groves. You need to move out for berries, things like that. So yeah.
They have a lot of tools that allow them to fight and all that, but that is not what this is about. This is just how well can this civ boom, which they do so very efficiently. They just kind of lack a few tools that other civs have to do it at a faster rate in a sense. But after Byzantines, we have Japan. Japan, a lot of people know them from other people's tier list videos, from watching tournaments and the like. They're kind of an awkward civ when they're not on water, which I will specify. This was all tested on non-water maps. This was all land maps where a corner trade market was available. So everyone was able to get trade and or TCs or any passive incomes that they may have, not including water. So Japan, sadly, without water, they are straight up sea. And I can get into detail about that, but they're a very simple civ. Now, for Japan, I will specify they're very easy to play. Like Byzantines, I would say Byzantines is a very easy civ to use. Japan is a very simple civ to use because they have good bonuses and they get their bonuses quickly. For instance, where most civs have wheelbarrow, they do not. They have their own unique upgrade, and they get it in Dark Age, Feudal, and Castle, allowing them to kind of reach their limits a little bit sooner than other civs, which does give them a little bit of a burst of economy, but it is nothing crazy, so to speak. Gosh, I love these ads at the bottom of my screen, just randomly popping up. It's exactly what I want.
I was just to add to Japan there, yeah, Toyota ads, so fitting since we're talking about Japan. In all realness, it makes sense, right? Because you don't really start to see Japan pop off until Castle Age anyway, because then you start getting the things that increase production time or even give you trickles of resources with the Yoroshiros. Also, they get an easier access to early relics when they get there because of the free monks, because of the Shinto priests.
Yeah.
So you start to actually see ways they can get more resources later. But early on, what do they have? Farms and, like you said, just a couple of unique techs. There's not a lot to praise there except for that farm economy, but that's going to be slower because farms are slow.
Yeah, so their eco advantage that they have really is not set for early feudal. So if you are looking for a boom civ, anyone who's in the C or D tier, they're not a civ you want to try to outboom a civ that's in the S to B category. And so for frame of reference, for when I was doing the math, basically you never want to fight you don't want to try to outboom a civ that's like 2 tiers above you. So like for instance, Japan could arguably fight Byzantines in a boom game if you're better at booming and you're a better defensive player than the Byzantines, and so on and so forth. And or if, for instance, your civ does better at the late game, so you want to drag it out, so you boom as well, you don't take risks, and you're just trying to drag out the game to win a point is you are stronger. But as it stands, you don't want to try to outboom generally a B tier civ as a D tier civ or an A tier civ as a C tier civ. I hate to say it, but you got to stay in your own lane when it comes to booming.
As a Delhi player, I can relate.
As a French player,
we're not trying to outboom China. We're not trying to outboom China,
Yep, no, I agree. Next civ, and I should state before I move on, the beginning of Byzantines is pretty average, but their late feudal, they really start to pick up the pace. So the longer the game goes, once they get their economy started, exponentially the better it is. Japan, kind of the same way as you were saying. Once they get to Castle, they start to really pump it up there. But Japan has a very slow start. Byzantine has a moderate start. Next, we have ABBA. ABBA, we are looking at, once again, a very good boom civ. They can get discounted markets, discounted TCs, discounted traders. If there was, in fact, fishing, they get discounted docks. They get to set up their economy very, very quickly. They do lack any major bonus at the beginning, though. A lot of their big upgrades will come later in the game, not in feudal. But in terms of a civ that can boom very efficiently at the beginning, they are on par with Byzantines. Like, these two are neck and neck. Funnily enough, like resources per minute, I think there was like 100 resources per minute difference at the 12-minute mark.
That makes a lot of sense. Ever since they nerfed Golden Age, you're not able to rush Golden Age anymore. When they were, A plus S tier type of civ, where you just built 4 houses and all of a sudden you had eco on par with the best of them. But with that not being quite as powerful until later in the game, I think Abbasid is weird because you end up in this situation where if you're against like Byzantines, you're toe to toe the whole time.
Yep.
You're building that second TC and whatnot, and you're able to make the same exact amount of units as this civ coming out at you. And that's just a tough matchup just to speak to that balance between them. And it's for that. I think it's for that reason. I'm playing a lot of Abbasid. There's a lot of familiarity with that kind of like, you just can't quite blast into any early boom wins. You have to go for the long game. You have to wait for that 20-minute mark.
Yep. Next up, after Abba, we have their variant civ, which is Ayyubid. Ayyubid is a weird one because they have two mentalities. You can either have a horrible feudal, or you can have a horrible imperial. Pick one or the other. It's rough.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, there's two builds that I could really keep in mind that allowed them to boom early versus later. There is a upgrade there for their economic wing. Early, they are able to get, I believe it's 30% faster villager production speed, plus 350 wood, meaning they have one of the fastest second TC timings in the game. And with faster villager production, they're able to get their economy going very quickly, as Pengwin learned from me the other day, if you had watched his stream. But
it's like an HRE fast castle.
Yeah. The other thing in mind with them is that you're giving up your late game. But in terms of their capability to boom in feudal, they are our first A tier civ. Without a doubt. They get so many villagers so quickly. They're on the second TC right away, so it's very safe. And there's trade. Funnily enough, like Abbasid, the trade for Abba and Ayyubid were changed recently. So they have camel traders that get less gold per trip, but they move much faster. Which means that Ayyubid gets their gold faster initially, giving them an immediate reinvestment to get more traders faster. So they get their economy started very quickly, even though it's not very powerful. But in terms of the early game, speed is everything. So, with that all in mind, A tier.
Yeah, and to comment on the new trade changes, I gotta say, outside of just the straight up trade difference and the fact that going faster means you get the gold earlier, even if it's not quite as much, it's also harder to counter for the other player. Like outside of the eco, if you're thinking of it in game sense ways, infantry are going to have a much harder time countering the trade of Abbasid and Ayyubid now.
Yep. Like your horsemen are barely going to keep up with the traders. Knights, you get one hit in and you just won't catch them again. So,
right.
In general, you're not raiding a Ayyubid trade because they're going to get it up by like 6 minutes. And at that point, it's so fast and so all over the place. They can move it, they can dodge you, they can run circles around your spears if they have good micro. You're not going to stop it if they're fast, which is really nice for them as a boom civ. But you are losing, like I said, to get them to A tier in feudal, you're giving up your late game. So keep that in mind. Now, next is China. I'm just going to ask you, Penguin, before I speak on it, where despite where I may put it, where would you think China is compared to these other four that are already there?
So before we started talking, I started putting together a little tier list of my own to kind of try to conceptualize it. And I kind of surprised myself, I'll be honest, because at first I was like, oh, it's China. You know, they've got a lot of really good boom capability. Song Dynasty means they get a lot of villagers and all that kind of stuff. But all of those things take a while. So if we're talking about getting things up early in terms of having a good feudal boom, I don't think they're going to rank very high. Just because you don't actually get the value until later into the game. So let's say I would say they're probably closer to C or B, somewhere in between, maybe a high C, low B.
They are in fact high C rank. They scored just short of reaching my B rank requirements. They could technically do it. If for instance, B Steve was running them, he could probably get it up there way higher. But a part of my ranking system was ease of use. How could a player like me with 60, 70 APM, but good understanding of the game as a Conk player. I've taken on Conk 2s and Conk 3s. I've won many times. I have a firm understanding of the game. I understand how to boom. These are not fundamentals I lack, but even I was struggling to really make China work. And it felt like I was always just a step behind with them. They are, in fact, just C+, kind of upper C.
I was going to say, I think every team player, platinum Chad in chat, everybody in the sort of gold to plat middle range team games, they've had that China teammate who, if they are left alone long enough, are really, really strong. But it takes like 15 minutes before they do anything of value.
This is true. This is the rough part with China, is in the first 6 to 8 minutes of the game, they were by far the worst civ economically because of how long it took them to get things running. But immediately, it was night and day. As soon as the 9-minute mark hit, suddenly they were booming harder than almost everyone else. It was just crazy the difference that civ has, but it takes so long to get up. The economy is not as safe, it's not as easy, it has horrible timings, so you're more likely to be aggressed upon. So as a boom civ in early feudal and just kind of into feudal as a whole, they're only a upper C rank boom civ, which means they are losing to Ayubid by 2 margins, which is crazy to me. Did not expect that when I started. I've always considered China the boom civ, or at least one of them.
Right. But yeah, it takes a while to get there. It takes a while to get rolling, get the ball moving.
Yep. And I think we're all very curious then what that means for Zhu Shi. Funnily enough, Zhu Shi gets online much faster than China and much more efficiently and much safer, minus the Barbican, but the timings are much better because of their feudal dynasty. They have a discount on wood, meaning they're not slowed down by housing. They can get their granaries up, these sort of things very quickly. And they start out with a imperial official, where China usually has to make one. So funnily enough, Zhu Shi has a slightly better eco at the beginning, and they get set up faster, putting them just beneath Byzantines and Abbasid. They are in
makes
fact.
Sense. And I want to.
Or go ahead.
Oh, it makes sense because I was even thinking of the meditation garden. It's kind of like dropping growth wing for Ayubids right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You kind of get 3 extra villagers early on if you place it well.
Yeah. Normally, I've found that you can get between 75 to 100, where the standard vill is getting about 40 to 45 resources per minute, which means you're getting roughly 2 to 3 vills out of it, depending on its location. And they build so quickly that you can only put 1 to 2 vills on, and that'd be the equivalent of having 4, which frees up 2 to 3 more vills to go work on other things and get more resources. Which in this case, it was getting the other landmark up to then get the second TC up faster, and then get up my granaries and my trade, and so on and so forth. So Zhu Shi has amazing timings. They have amazing safety of eco in terms of a lot of it. It's just, they can just do things very well, very quickly, and very compactly. Now, as the game progresses, that will change, but for for feudal, they do very well in that regard. If they had Barbican like China as their second landmark besides Meditation Garden, they would probably be an A tier just because of how defensive they are as a boom civ, in my opinion. But in terms of just pure booming, nothing else, they're really good.
Yeah, keep those units safe and all that kind of thing. Yeah, like you said, compactness helps a lot with them because you don't have to move around a whole lot. You've got sheep on your mill, you've got your imperial officials. Yeah, no, I like it.
And you have guaranteed gold. If you're getting raided, you can be like, okay, I can get the extra gold I need from my imperial official just grabbing gold. So you are not losing out, even if you're being forced in tighter, because you still have a gold option, which that safety net is very helpful. But that is going to lead us into a civ that is not considered a boom civ by most players. I have jokingly said it's a joke civ many times, sometimes kind of being a little, kind of joke on the nose sort of mentality. But we're talking French. Good old knights and feudal French. Do they need economy? No, they have knights. Oh, should they make men at arms? No, they have knights. Oh, crossbow. The arbaletiers are great, but no, knights. They're a knight civ. They're not a boom civ. Who would play French as a boom civ? Well, if you have trade, they're a boom civ. Straight up. They have some of the best timings for setting up an early economy of any of the civs in the game. Genuinely. Because you get free traders from the Chamber of Commerce that you get from buying upgrades. Thus, your villagers are better. They produce villagers faster. Thus, they get more of those upgraded vills faster, which allows them to get more eco techs faster, which then allows them to buy more traders. And suddenly, if you have a corner market, you can boom very hard, very quickly, very efficiently. The only problem is it is not safe. Toyota, please go away.
I'm assuming it's like Chamber of Commerce that we're talking here. So you get your free extra traders out of those cheap techs and things like that. But like you said, either you're not going to have enough military as France up to defend that. But I guess I have a question, which is, I guess, if looking at this is just raw, like, eco power coming out of these, these steps, right? Like, you're just talking, like, right out of the gate, you got those free traders, you get those techs, France blasting with the one extra villager they have by the time feudal starts.
Yep. This is purely if you don't have to worry about defending yourself. So, with that in mind, as a feudal boom civ, if they don't have to worry about defense, they're tied with Zushi, actually. It was just like a couple resource differences. Like, the free traders give you an immediate boost to your food, gold, and... Because, for those who don't know, French and Jean can trade for any resource besides stone. Which means, if you're ever running low, instead of buying resources from the market to adjust your economy, they can just trade for whatever they want instead, which means they're not wasting money on the taxes of buying resources from the market. Which, in terms of like fixing mistakes, is very helpful. In terms of, for instance, if you want to just get traders out as fast as possible and you're trying to make a trade economy, you just put all your traders on like food and wood, and you send all your vills to go mine gold, because mining gold is faster than gathering food for most sources. And I was using farms as a baseline. I'll specify that as well. For food, we are always using farms unless we are Rus, for which we have bounty. So they need the bounty to get their eco advantages. So with that in mind, the French boom was super good. Just genuinely very strong, very quick to get set up. It actually had one of the fastest early feudal timings out of all the civs in the game. While the strength petered out later because they don't have a lot of bonuses to their economy, how quickly they can get set up was one of the best. Which will tie
Andy, you got to be careful who you tell this to, because if the fours chads hear about this, all the French players are going to start booming too, and then all the random queuers on ladder are not going to be happy about this.
I'm going to tell you now, if you're playing French, realistically, as a boom civ, they're probably down here. They are a D tier civ because you want to make knights. Knights come out very slowly if you don't have School of Cavalry. So in terms of defense, they are one of the worst defensive civs. If we're talking in an in-practice boom civ, put them down there. They're not good. But in terms of a pure boom civ, they actually get a stronger economy faster than China or Japan so far. Which, once again, like I was saying earlier, we're going to then tie into Jean. Jean, in terms of feudal, we're talking early feudal to the kind of the mid-feudal. Now, we're not talking early castle. We're not talking like the delayed feudal. We're not talking like 16-minute feudal. Jean is right there with French for the exact same reasons, but instead of more vills, you have Jean to build things faster and give you faster building bonuses, which allows you to start getting those upgrades a few seconds faster, making up for that difference. So as a boom civ, Jean is fairly equal to French.
Interesting. I have to ask, with Jean, did you do that? Like, I guess it's kind of old now, but the Jean double TC opening where you use her boosted sort of villager gathering rate to get out a little bit more of a boom? Or is this single TC trade like with the French?
So, funnily enough, if you're just trying to boom as fast as possible and to get a standard like villager trade split, which I liked kind of for most civs, kind of an 80-40, 80 villagers, 40 traders, you do kind of want to go 2TC with every civ, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
But what French and Jean like to do is they like to get the traders first, villagers second. So I actually would get out about 10 to 12 traders before I would drop my second TC. And that's what I found was working the best on average. Now, of course, if you don't have a corner market, or if, let's say, like if you're on Dry Arabia and the markets hate you and it spawns behind you, yeah, that ain't helping ya. So you're not going to have trade as an option. So once again, I specified this earlier. This is if you have a corner trade option where you can get between 60 to 75 gold per trip. So with that in mind, very good. If you can't get trade, drop these guys down to D. Once again, they're not good. French may be C because of their faster villager production, but Jean without trade has no eco advantages whatsoever. Even with consecrated TCs, you're basically just getting a Abbasid TC, except you have to wait for the consecrate, and you don't get it as quickly.
Right.
You don't get the
TC
as quickly.
Would it be fair to say that Jean, compared to France, is like maybe a little bit more defensible than French is? So like you could get a little bit more away with some of this greed than you could as a flat French player.
Funnily enough, I would say no. I think if we're talking trade for this exact build or the kind of mentality I was coming into this with, I would say no, because knights would mean better protection because they can get across the map to defend locations faster. But for instance, if we're looking at like just a pure 2TC, we're hiding in Turtle Ridge sort of mentality, I would say Jean, yes, because you have discounted spears with Consecrate, and having the cheapest spears in the game is surprisingly helpful. Like genuinely, like
Great.
If you can make 3 spears very easily for every one knight, well, you just outmaster your opponent so quickly it's not even funny. But then there is the
trash enjoyer.
Yeah, John.
As a trash enjoyer, you just got to remember how it. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. This is why I brought you here. Someone needs to get me to shut up.
I was just gonna say, as a trash enjoyer, you don't realize how expensive spears are until you get attacked by knights, and you're like, I have maybe 2/3 more, not twice as many spears as I need. Yeah. So they're expensive. Those things are expensive, man.
Yeah. So taking like 10 food off, 15 food, whatever it is off, allows you to just get a couple more a little bit faster, which is very nice defensively. But enough about the French variant. We need to go into another French variant, because apparently French needs 2. And that is Knights Templar. Yay, Templar. Fun fact about Templar, they're slow. They are bad.
Yeah.
They have very little security in terms of their eco. They can't build trade. They can only get economy from pilgrims and villagers. Yes, they can get their second TC up super quickly, but if we're talking the battle of the boom, nothing beats trade. And if we're talking villagers, Templar can be a part of the discussion. But as long as trade is in the mix, D tier, straight up, no questions, no arguments. I can make.
Now you have a French civ. You have a French civ with a very similar eco to the other French civs, but no trade.
Yep.
So that just goes straight to the core. I think this might be surprising to some people, if only because of the rate at which you get food from woodcutting. Because like you don't have to drop off the wood. You have a free wood tech, and we've talked about this a little bit. Like cheaper techs help, things like that. So this might be kind of surprising, I think, to some people. But having played quite a bit of Templar this week after the DLC came out, I could safely say I still feel food starved. I still feel wood starved, even though that wood production is so insanely high compared to other civs.
Yeah. I would say Templar is a boom civ if there's water. If you have water, dear God, no water, no Templar. That is my official ruling as Templar is a boom civ. No water, no Templar. Just straight up. Everyone can get their resources out faster. Oh, you can get pilgrims. Pilgrims are awesome. Yeah, you got to pay for every upgrade for them. And that's just for the first 2. Everyone after that requires you to buy a keep. That's 900 resources to get 1 more pilgrim. Oh, you want to fill
so
out
I
your
have
eco?
to ask.
Go for it.
I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus or anything. We have one of the best players in AoE, perhaps the best, Beastie, said that Templar is an S tier civ on his last tier list.
Good.
I'm just bringing that up because I want to know why. I want to know how that relates to their eco here.
Because they have great tools. On water, they're nigh unbeatable. Hybrid maps, nigh unbeatable. If we're talking in terms of a high level player who's able to react and not die at the early stages of the game, the later the game goes, the stronger they really get to be. Their castle tempo is really good. They hit Imperial, they have probably what I would argue is probably the strongest Knight core in the game. They have so many tools. It's just not in Feudal. It is not on land Feudal maps. And of course, we're not taking it into account their combat ability. Their ability to have basically like family dollar store level like French knights does not equate to their booming capabilities. It takes way too long to get up multiple TCs. The time you could get up double, triple TC, your opponent is on 6 markets. Like, in terms of getting an economy going and that's your only goal, they're the worst at it. That is not to say that you can't boom at Knight Templar. If like you're in a team game and your allies could allow you to do it, dude, you're gonna be insane. But it takes them a while to
bring
get
up the
going.
wood and say, "I'll see you guys in 20 minutes. Catch you at the 25-minute mark, y'all. Take care."
If you can live until 25 minutes, I can steamroll 4v1. I just need you to last 40 like that amount of time. Powerful civ, great civ even. I could not accurately say where they are ranked wise as a civ for the normal player or the pro scene, but as a boom civ, they don't boom well. And I will state this, the beginning of their kind of tempo is not bad. The problem is that villagers can never keep up with trade. If there's a corner market, your villagers will always be worse than traders. And yeah, it's a sucky part of and like you don't have to build your second landmark. You can get pilgrims that give you a lot of gold per minute. I think it was like 165 gold per minute roughly. Like you have a lot of different options to you for economy, but if we're talking how quickly you can boom, they don't do boom very well. I think they're a very good hybrid civ. They're a very good water civ. They're a very good team civ. But in terms of just sitting back trying to get rich, Templar is not a get rich quick scheme. They are not. They're quite the opposite.
Right. Gotcha.
Which, enough about French. We're tired of the French and their new cousin. Let's get to your favorite.
Their time.
They've had their moment of sunshine. It is time for your favorite civ, Pengwin. Are you ready for HRE?
Yeah, and they're going to be higher than I wish they were, but yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing.
This is why I hate them.
HRE is good. HRE is very good. I would say that they do well for like the first half of the game in a kind of sense. Their economy to get set up is very efficient. They're very easy. They take very little effort. It's a brain dead economy. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry if you are a friend, or not a friend, a HRE enjoyer, and you're like, oh, HRE is for real men sort of mentality. No. HRE is for people that want to chew on a stick. They're there for the glue sniffers.
That's all I have to say about that, Dandy. Justice. That's what everything I've ever said on my chat, everything I've ever said on my stream. You just said it for me.
They are one of the easiest civs to boom with. Oh, what's this? I have to make a couple prelates to get my economy up to maximum efficiency. Well, they made it even easier because now you can just garrison them. They have made HRE the brain dead boom civ. You don't need to worry about a lot of distribution. You get resources so efficiently. Their build order at the beginning is a little weird, but it's literally just like putting 3 vills on gold and then rally to food. It's not complicated. You want to have like a couple scholars for your vills because the percentage boost from the scholars is nice. A couple different things. And this is not even me fast castle relic grabbing. This was like, hey, let me keep everyone in feudal. So this isn't even trying them in like really big different ways. Because, for instance, you can go 1 TC into Fast Castle into Swabia. That's a build order for good eco. Or you can go double TC into Relics and to Elsbach if you're trying to stay defensive. You have a lot of different options for HRE. This was just what could I get the biggest boom with most efficiently, as if I held them as any other civ to a degree. And they have the extra gather rate bonus. They have Aachen. They can get trade up very easily, even though they don't have trade bonuses, but they gather so quickly. A lot of what holds you back as HRE is where you can place your Aachen. Your Aachen position makes a big difference. If when in doubt, put it on wood. You can't fail. They're tied with Byzantines and Abba. Straight up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Upper boom civ. They're very good. They're very solid. But they're not insane. Like, the difference between them and like France, for instance, is just a couple hundred resources per minute. It's not a major thing. It's not crazy, but it is good. Don't get me wrong, it is good. But it's so brain dead, which brings me into their variant civ, which is no different. Once again, we're talking brain dead, glue sniffing, chew on a stick. You don't need to think about it. OTD, they're tied with French. They're B tier.
All right, before anyone gives OOTD more crap here, more junk here, let me just say, as an HRE hater, I have some respect for OOTD players. And maybe it's for this reason.
Go for it.
It takes a little bit more it just takes them a little bit more to sort of get off the starting line, you know, and they have to be a little bit more conscious about the defense. If you lose 2 villagers as OOTD, it's a lot worse than HRE losing 2 villagers.
Oh yeah.
They just replace those villagers with a well-placed prelate, you know?
Yep.
But OOTD, you don't have that prelate boost. You have to rely on a weaker Aachen and things like that. I have a little more respect for the OOTD players out there.
They aren't sniffing the glue. They're just huffing the markers. It's okay.
Yeah.
To be clear, I am not saying anyone should do this. I am not saying that if you are playing these civs, you are dumb. I'm just saying they are easy to use, which is not an insult. They just are a simple civ, which is good. Hey, nothing wrong with simple civs. I play French and Jean. All I do is make knights and I cackle. Will not judge people for playing an easy civ. But now I'll get to your real favorite civ, Delhi. Do you want to guess where Delhi is, Penguin?
I'm confident about this. I think they're probably, based on this, it's kind of difficult, right? But let's consider that if you do all the right eco things, you get sacred sites. You have free techs. You've also, because of that, you don't really need gold. You can get a second TC very easily with Delhi. I want to put them in like, I'm gonna push it here. Maybe this is my bias, but I want to say they're A tier.
I'm sorry, your bias cannot be confirmed today. If they're just trying to keep up with a pure boom, they're not like competing for sacred sites where like anyone else can do their thing, so on and so forth, getting your second TC out to try to get villagers, all these sort of things. They're just C+. Delhi does not boom in Feudal. Delhi does not boom in Feudal. They want to fight. And here's the thing, guys. This is not an insult for Delhi players. This is not an insult for Delhi as a civ. Delhi's eco is from free text. Free text means you want to not let your opponent boom. They are an aggro civ in Feudal through and through. They are not a boom civ.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that? And this is just kind of I'm teasing the developers a little bit here. Because when the game first came out, season 1, Delhi was considered a defensive civ.
They are not.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Devs, excuse me. What were you doing? This is an aggro civ. That is their identity. This is where they are now. They are not a defensive civ. They are a aggro civ that utilizes free text to gain economic advantage in map control to get sacred sites. They are a civ that booms through aggression. They are similar to French. They win by making you weak. That is what they are. And I hate to say it, they do not have a pure boom option. Even with Dome of the Faith, as great as it is to get those early scholars, to get that early gold, if you're trying to boom up and you're trying to boom quickly, you need to also have villagers, you need trade, because funnily enough, grabbing those early sacred sites is like each sacred site, you're basically getting 2 of French's free traders, and now French also has more villagers than you.
That makes sense. You know, I did push it up there, but I think the reason somebody would is primarily because of the free text. Like the reason I would even argue higher is just because of the free text. But I also agree with you. It takes a long time for them to come in. If you don't defend yourself, if you don't make units, you're just dead as Delhi because you're behind, because you don't have a way to build up. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yep. Which now, once again, we are back. We are back to you, those in the playpen that love to just sit back and not stress your economy. One of the simplest civs to use, English. We all know what English likes to do. They go Abbey of the King. They go 2TC. Maybe, just maybe, they may get some trade on a good trade map or in team games. But otherwise, they'll probably just be on multiple TC trying to get their Imperial enclosures for their farms. They are, in fact, a very low rated civ when it comes to boom. They are C tier. They are simple. They are easy to use. They have great trash armies. None of that really matters. Their economy is in fact horrible.
I think to speak for the masses here, the main reason that people recommend playing England isn't because the boom is strong. The boom is usable because it's safe. Because it's hard. Your second TC is safe under the power of your first TC.
And your
English
free king.
Main TC is what makes them what they are in Feudal. It's what makes them able to scale like that. The fact that their villagers are untouchable early, that's really where you get your value.
Yep. The fact that your villagers, if someone sends a spear to like harass your gold, you're just gonna grab all your vills, one shot it. Oh, they want to raid your second TC? You have a self-healing knight that will then heal all your villagers. So if they don't even get the kill on the vill, you'll just re-heal it and they can't one-shot it later or something. You have longbows, one of the strongest defensive units in the game. Their boom is only good because of their defensive capabilities. Without defense, their boom is horrible. And in the tests where you don't have to worry about defense, they cannot boom. They are bad. They are not a good eco civ. They don't even have good transition times in the early Feudal. To get second TC takes a while. When you're looking at terms of getting your economy established, you have to take the time to get farms because you really want the farms. You don't want to start on berries. Like, you have a lot of things you need to do. The tempo is great for a 1v1 game, not good for let's see who booms hardest. Which will then bring us in to their cousin, their variant, the new kid on the block. Everyone thinks he's cool. House of Lancaster. Everyone knows this civ is OP. It's broken. Manners are strong. In terms of resources per minute, they're trash.
Yeah, it kind of tracks. That's the thing with like early passive resources. Early passive resources are never as good as early active resources. The frustrating thing for players is that you can't
rate it.
fight it as easily, right?
Yeah,
They will get those resources no matter what. But oh my gosh, if it comes to active resources, then all of a sudden you're not getting those no matter what. Trade can be interrupted. Villagers can be attacked. Manors can't be raided. You can only burn them down. You have to ram them down to stop them. That's what makes them good, right? That's what makes that. And then it pushes that into late game.
Yep. If we were looking at defense was a like attributing factor to this, we would see English like in A tier, House of Lancaster, SRA, lots. They get like all this safe economy. It comes in immediately. It only costs like 300 resources to get a manor. You save money on having housing. All these things really nice. It's just not great.
You and I were talking about this before the video. If you have a civ that can ram rush them, like you said, that also has a pretty good early eco, you can really put Lancaster back. You can knock them back on their butt.
Yeah.
Because you use that early scaling plus the ability to get a fast ram. Anybody who can get gold quick, or Abbasid who can just do it for free, you can really kind of knock them back early, and all of a sudden their manors don't give them that same value because they have to make archers to stop you. Oh, guess what? Rams are really good against archers.
Yeah, they don't die to archers. So as a feudal boom civ, they aren't good. They're just safe, which is not, once again, what I'm testing here. We're talking pure economy. Pure economy wise, they have one of the worst second TC timings. They have manors, while awesome, very strong, very defensive, don't boom very hard, so it's a very limited factor, at least in feudal. That is only in feudal, of course. All these is we're looking at their feudal potential. Like if we're looking at Ayubid late game, like if they're trying to work towards their imperial economy so they can hold up in a team game, they're D tier. They would be the worst boom civ in the game without it. But in terms of trying to build up a feudal economy, Ayubid is king so far. Next up, we have Malians. Now, Malians, we are talking pit mines, we're talking cow boom, we're talking very easy pro scout like transition, we're talking 40% total map bonus for all their trade, lots of eco tools. Pengwin, where is this strong eco civ? Where do you think they are in terms of that feudal economy?
Well, we were just talking about this, and it's that passive resources are never as fast as active resources.
Oh, Pengwin, don't tell me it's so. Pengwin, don't say it!
In my mind, they have to be lower, but not quite as low because they have the gold trickle. Early, right? They get it in Dark Age. They don't even need to get it in Feudal. So maybe C.
I hate to say it. They're right there with Templars. Oh God, it hurt my soul. It hurt me so bad. The feudal timing.
That makes sense.
I want to say this. This is one of those civs that needs like 10 minutes to start doing things. They got that House of Lancaster problem. They got that kind of China problem. That economy, oh boy, wait till later. But in feudal, oh God. Oh Lord.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say that they have a similar issue to Delhi here in that they need so much wood to do anything. And so, like, once you get that wood, all of a sudden it's a castle timing, not a feudal timing. Like, It takes a while to get the ball rolling there. But once the ball's rolling, that's why the sofa timing's so good, right? Once you get to 15 minutes and you've castled already and you've got your cow boom done, which takes 10 years to finish.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden you have this really powerful baseline. But before then, you need so much wood to get anything back.
And wood takes the longest of any resource in Dark Age to gather. Fun fact, for those who don't know, gold mining, super fast. Sheep, super fast. Wood, I might as well be trying to walk up a mountain blindfolded for the rate at which that comes in. It is awful. It is horrible. It is why Templar is great on water, because they don't need to drop it off. They don't need their upgrades. They don't need their lumber camp. They just go and they get you wood. Malians, on the other hand, do not have that benefit. If we could somehow merge Templar and Malians as a civ, we would have the strongest civ in the game. Just saying.
So does this include, out of curiosity, and this might be something that pops up in viewers' heads as well, which is the main reason I bring it up. What about the toll house? Do the resources coming from toll house and towers, would that make any difference for them if you open trade?
It does help. It does help but here's the thing. If you want to get the benefit of trade, you are giving up Mansa Quarry. Mansa Quarry is, while it's not as good long term, it allows you to get your cow boom started very quickly. And the cow boom timing, it is the slowest part of their economy. When I was testing it, while the toll house could give them an insane trade, arguably if you're going Imperial, you want the toll house, or you want the upgrade to give you that extra food whenever the traders come through. It doesn't pay off until kind of that mid castle range. So in terms of feudal economy, Mansa Quarry is the choice. But dear Lord, your base in terms, it's like, oh, I need 100 sandwiches. That's just one more sandwich to the pile.
I think it's important like to look at this. I just the main thing that's appearing to me right now, and this is going to be relevant for people watching, is that a lot of the civs who are here on the bottom, they have passive resources, they have really good resource boons, but their reason they're low here, especially because we're talking about feudal age, is because those things take a while to pay off. It's because those things are passive, or they take a while to get the movement going, and a lot of them have really incredible eco boons, but for very specific timings.
Yep. And in very certain conditions. So for instance, we're kind of scaling this between that kind of 6-8 minute mark till the 12-minute mark. If we were to stay in feudal until the 30-minute mark or something crazy, Malians would be the best civ, because they have a 40% bonus they could have for their trade in feudal. Actually, it could be higher than that if you have the other landmark. Then on top of that, they have their cow boom, which can all be in feudal. Then on top of that, they can have the pit mine, which is, or at least one of them can be in feudal. They can then get a second TC up very easily. They could go triple 4 TC because of how much gold they get from their trade, and then very quickly rise up their villager numbers. Malian economy is strong. It just needs a minute to get going. They are a avalanche of an eco civ, but you got to get that first snowball rolling down the hill.
That makes sense. And I think that also can speak to why it's so frustrating for Malian players to play against like Mongols or something like that, because their stuff comes out so early, so fast, that all of a sudden these things that are supposed to make you really strong aren't doing anything because you're locked down.
Yep, this is true. Next off, though, speaking of Mongols, you mentioned them. Here they are. I hate them with a burning passion. One of my three, like, if there's 3 civs I never want to play against, Mongols may just be on the top. I hate the tower rushers. They're the bane of my existence. I hate Mongols.
It's funny, as an Abbasid, Delhi, Berry enjoyer main, Mongols are like not like the best against me. I still hate playing against them. I still have the hardest time playing against this damn civ.
Yeah, this Mongols, for lack of a better phrase, is just a civ that doesn't want you to have fun. They don't want you to play the game. Oh, you want to make knights? No knights for you. Oh, you want to be on this wood line, and boom, I'm going to tower both edges of your wood line and get a bunch of Mangadai with con hunters and just sit here. No, they are the civ that says no fun for you, fun for me. Ha ha ha, I'm going to take my ball and go home. For which, I hate to say this, it hurts me from the deepest pits of my gut. They are, in fact, S-tier boom civ. Fun fact, it is not a safe boom. It is a horribly unsafe economy. It is all trade-based. It is all reliant on you not having to spend your stone on military, but using it for your eco upgrades instead. It requires such a delicate process that if I threw a toothpick at it, it would crumble. But the potential.
I'll tell you what, Dandy. I had a stream where I was malding really bad about HRE, and then I played against a Mongol player, and my anger shifted straight from HRE, who is my least favorite to play against, to the Mongols, and I played a game as the Mongols to show everybody why. Ended up on Hillendale,
Yeah.
And won a game against an Abbasid boom. Abbasid went 3 TC, went as hard as they could on their Abbasid boom. So I did the same because they just walled themselves in. And I was sitting there complaining to chat about how easy it was. I was like, look at this. I put my silver tree in the corner. I think it was silver tree. I may have gone Yam Network, but I don't remember. Yeah. Silver tree in the corner. I'm trading everything. I've got bombards already, and they're still stuck in castle. Like just blasting into the later part of the game early. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I was malding while playing them. I won the game too, for what it's worth.
I believe it. Here's the thing. Here's the stupid thing about it. Double production and the fact your buildings can move, which means you don't have to walk a ville across the map to put in a corner market. You just build it and it rolls there on its own. Oh, you put a silver tree on an Obu, you're going to start double producing traders. When you should only have 3, suddenly you have 10. Yeah, it's stupid. I don't like it. I don't like Mongol players. Everyone who's like, oh, Mongols need buffs, No, stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Mongols is a good boom civ. You just don't like the fact you don't have walls, so you have to actually defend your trade. I'm sorry, not sorry. You have a horribly, and I mean horribly, overpowered economy early. It is literally untouchable to every civ as long as there's trade. Now I'm going to give you this, Mongols. I'll give you this. If you don't see a neutral outpost in the corner, yeah, you are so dog water, it's not even funny.
But, yeah, drop that down without a neutral market. Yeah, without a good neutral market.
Without a good neutral market, you're like here, maybe here. Yeah. With the neutral market, that's even 3/4 map, immediate S tier boom civ. You're half the gold cost on traders is so insane, and because you don't, once you get like 10 traders out, they're getting you enough food that you don't need vills on food anymore. You just occasionally buy a little bit because you have so much gold, and then you just put all your vills on wood and gold, and you just make this insane like double TC 6 market like trade economy, and you just laugh your way to the bank. You don't care.
I'm gonna make the Mongol players even more angry here, just to add to what you were saying. Before you get in the chat, before you get into the comments and start complaining, like, what do you mean Mongols is that powerful? I have to do all this and that, and I'm microing and doing that. Don't forget, you have some of the most affordable and also efficient units in Feudal Age. Like you've got speed, you've got raid, you can use the name. Actually, Yam Network is a Castle Age tech unless you go stones.
You got Mangadai and you have Keshiks. Keshiks aren't too
exactly
powerful, but they have good survivability. They're great at poking and prodding and keeping your opponent in their base. I have lost to so many Mongol players that all they did was make Mangadai, ran circles around my base, looked at my wood line, and then I looked at their economy and they're on like 50 traders by like the 14-minute mark. I'm like, quit. I'm done. I
think the main thing that kept me from getting Conk before I left for my trip, when I was on my road to Conk, I was playing really hard. I was beating Conquer 1 players. I was in a really good spot, but I had my trip coming up, right? So I had a short deadline. The one thing that kept me from getting into Conqueror were all the Conk 1 Mongol players.
Yes. The Mongol players are just the epitome, the epitome of no fun for you, fun for me. I only have fun when you aren't. So we're done with Mongols. I'm tired of them. I hate them. Personal bias involved. Now we have only 2 civs. Rus. Man, they have such a good second TC. Man, that Pro Scout is so strong. Well, 1, Pro Scouts got nerfed. 2, their second TC does not come up as fast as a lot of civs. Yes, they are very defensive, which really sucks in a 1v1, but we're not here for that. We are here specifically for how well can a civ boom, and you, Roos, you ain't got it. You're down here in the D tier. You are there with Malians, Templar, and House of Lancaster. You suck. Hunting Cabin's awesome, but go ahead.
Yeah. I have to ask. Well, so once again, just to point this out, it's again passive resources, right? So hunting cabins, trickle of gold, another passive resource. But what I wanted to say was, or ask rather. So we have bounty, right? Bounty is going to increase our food gathering rate. We're not getting a lot of wood gathering rates. Is this kind of because our wooden fortress is stuck behind 175 wood, or is
Yeah.
there something else going on here?
No. So here's the thing. What holds back Roos isn't the amount of resources they get. It is how long does it take them to get those bonuses. For instance, bounty, really strong. The amount of gold you get from the hunting cabins is more than you'll ever get from the imperial like English farm economy. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, you have high trade house giving you infinite deer source, so you can always get a little bit more of a better food economy, a little bit more gold. But that doesn't help them with feudal. When we're talking just the boom, hunting cabins take a while to really pay for themselves. Like so the way to view it, if it takes 100 wood to get a hunting cabin, the hunting cabin gets you 30 gold a minute, which is generous, by the way. You're lucky if you can get like 20. But let's say you're on a good roost map, you're getting 30. That means even after 3 minutes, you still haven't paid for that hunting cabin in terms of the gold to wood cost. Then you also have to keep in mind the amount of time it takes for a hunting cabin to get down. Like you have to send a bill out there for like, what is it? 15-20 seconds. That's another 10 to 20 resources you're losing. Then you have the walk time. That's another 10 seconds. So in the end, it takes like 4 to 5 minutes for every hunting cabin to pay for itself. That's not great. It's very nice when you're in an FFA and you have a lot of wood lines and you're trying to like secure a gold source and everyone's fighting over the middle. You can't secure a gold node. You can't get trade. Having safe gold is amazing. But in terms of just booming, it will never touch what other civs can do. They are a civ that either wants to do a castle timing, they want to fight in feudal, they do not want to sit back and, for instance, let Byzantines just go second TC 5 cistern, because Rus will never beat that. They are not a boom civ, they are a boom civ into tempo. They are not a let's just see how fast we can make vills and traders. So that is where poor little Rus sits. This is where they live now. It's the bottom of the barrel as a boom civ. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this might be surprising for a lot of people because when they think of Rus, I think you immediately think of a civ that's powerful economically speaking. Like that comes from a place of economic power. But I guess to continue making the points I've made in this video, it makes sense. If you're going to take those raw numbers, Rus isn't flying out of the gates. They're, again, one of those civs that's like, oh, well, maybe I want to fast castle and get some relics to really get a spike going. Or maybe I want to build that second TC and build a spike. I'm actually safe when I build a second TC because I have the Kremlin or whatever. The point is, it's like England in that regard. You're safe, but when do you get the ball rolling?
Yep. Which is not this is a competition, so to speak, of how well do you get economy going. Rus is not him, which leaves us with one final civ, the great and the mighty Ottomans. Their empire expanded many a yard. I'm making a joke here, people. Please laugh. They have great bombards, this insane level of military. You know what they don't have an AoE for? Economic prowess. They suck.
Yeah,
free military.
They don't have a single. They don't have a single eco upgrade, like purely eco upgrade, do they?
They do. Okay, so it's through their vizier point where they get the free sheet, which gives them that 10 or 15% faster gather rate from mining, which is stone or gold, which is very nice. They do, and I am including free military. Like, if you could, like, these are free resources in a sense. But that's the thing. It's free military, which is free resources, which is nice, but that doesn't help them get more resources faster. That doesn't mean they get more traders. I'll say, though, they do get 3 traders for free in feudal if you go with the right landmark, which I do use to actually make their boom work. But they are once again a civ that doesn't want to sit back and boom. They want to fight. And lo and behold, they're also not a super powerful early Knight Civ. They do have Sipahi. I will say this now. Do never underestimate Sipahi. If you thought that Mangonel was safe, that Mangonel was not safe. It is, in fact, dead. It is a dead Mangonel.
As a light cavalry enjoyer, Ghazi, Sipahi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to fight against Ottomans when I play Delhi because of that matchup. It sucks. It's so hard to play.
Yeah, they get their little like Mector or Metter, whatever he's called, banging his drums behind his or their Sipahi, and suddenly they're just NASCAR drivers. Just they're gone. They're very powerful like military civ. And we're not even, like I said, once again, we're not talking about their castle. We're not talking about their imp. But in Feudal, they are hot garbage.
Yeah.
These civs, if you're looking in terms of, you're like on Danube River, Hillendale, with like a 4v4 and you got room, you got map, there's so much map to go across, it's hard to raid. You can wall off very easily. You're just looking to see who can boom the hardest. These 5, it ain't happening in Feudal. They are not here for that Feudal boom. Now these guys, these upper 2 with kind of these mid tiers, these guys can boom. They can do some pretty good boom. If there's no water, they'll stand out. These guys, yeah, they won't be horrible. They can kind of keep up with these guys a little bit. These 5, no, don't do it. Don't try it. You are not him. Malians, I love Malians with all my heart. So spiritually, Malians is S tier. Spiritually,
absolutely. I'm with that. What I have to say here, I was kind of looking at this, and first of all, I'm angry that Mongols are on the top. Not like because they are, like, I agree that they are on the top. I'm angry that they're on the top. But because I was gonna say, the thing about these civs on the bottom, a lot of them are considered S tier by a lot of players, because of their exponential growth.
Yes.
And I want to speak to that in general on this list. Is like I think this is a really good tier list to make because it really does show you how the balance is determined by so many different factors. So like you're looking at that D tier list, and those civs exponential growth is kind of crazy, except for maybe the Ottomans who have a very static growth. I think that's what makes the Ottomans so bad, is no matter what, they have a very static upwards trajectory in terms of the game. It's what makes them not very meta and why people don't want to play them right now, I think. Because everybody else on this list has some sort of exponential upturn, be it the power of your knights. That's an exponential military upturn. Be it some free text. Delhi gets an early one, just enough to get their units out to make a lot of units. But then you look at Mongols, and this is what makes me so mad about the Mongol one, and they not only have exponential growth through the game, but they have a really fast jump with their exponential growth. But the thing that makes these civs is that combination between that, is the balancing. Oh, wow, big word there, big buzzword, between where that exponential turn happens and how.
Yeah. Like, for instance, Mongol, the more traders they have, the better their traders. Oh, you put up towers? Now they're faster traders. They have all these nice little buffs. But if you go in and put one stone wall around that market, no trade. Yeah. No trade from Mongols. They can't do it. Yeah. They can't handle a stone wall.
The Delhi-Mongol matchup, just to bring Delhi back into this, because I can't help myself, is such a pain for both players, because Delhi can run across the map with some spears, set up a wall around the neutral market or whatever, and then Mongols has to fight for it, and they have to make units, and all of a sudden it is just a grind fest, because you have these two civs that really want to do damage while preventing the other one from getting their booms up, especially Delhi against Mongols. And all of a sudden it is like, I have to say, that's got to be one of the deadliest feudal matchups because of that.
So aggressive, so angry. Everyone's just throwing things at each other. It's like Thanksgiving dinner where everyone has a different view of who should be president. No one wants to go to it. It's just everyone's mad. No one's winning that game. There's only the person who
it's
got
almost
the
worse
point.
than playing a mirror.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Almost worse than playing a mirror. Almost worse than playing a mirror.
Yeah. But that's it, guys. When it comes to who can boom the hardest in Feudal at what pace, with what ease of use, because I'll say in terms of resources per minute, like C tier is not that far from B tier, but how easy is it to get up? That makes a little bit of a difference. So I'm trying to keep all these little factors in. So I will say this. The difference between S and A is not night and day. A and B, not night and day. That, like, take that mentality out of your head. This is more of like C will never be as good as A when it comes to a land map boom. Don't try to outpace them. Like, definitely Malians can outboom French because French doesn't play boom because their boom is not safe. It is not guaranteed. You make 3 warrior scouts as Malians, and suddenly French will look at their traders and cry because they can't make the knights fast enough to protect the traders. That's the
So what you're telling me, Dandy? What you're telling me, Dandy, is China is still too much work to learn. Why bother? Why bother?
Don't learn China. Don't look at Mongols. Mongols need trade. Everyone should just play Knights Templar, because BC said they're S tier. Who cares about their eco, their ease of use? None of that matters. BC said it's S. Please play Templar because I have an undefeated win rate versus them. I say this as the Knight enjoyer. I look at Templar and I lick my lips because I'm like, ooh, free win. Yeah, no, this is just, and I'll say this, if nothing else, just view this as entertainment purposes. When it comes to what you should and should not do, this will give you a rough idea of who you shouldn't try to outboom, but in the end, you can outboom somebody if you're better at raiding than they are. For instance, if you are Delhi fighting Byzantines, trying to outboom them, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to get the sacred sites, and then I'm going to go castle, I'm going to raid them with knights, I'm just never going to let them get their cisterns online. Suddenly, you're booming better than they are because you're raiding behind it. This is just a guide. Matchup. Yeah. I know you love it. You love it, Penguin. You love it so much. But yeah, no, that's
never fast castle against Byzantines, guys. I learned the hard way.
They'll punish you. They will punish you hard. Yeah. But that's it, guys. This is the Feudal Boom Civ tier list from Dandy Dragon with Penguin for commentary. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope you find this helpful. Hopefully you find it entertaining. And if nothing else, this at least will allow you to have a sense of superiority when you tell me how wrong I am. If I get nothing else to you besides that, if that's all I give you, then just take the win, guys. You get to pretend you're better and smarter than Dandy. And you know what?
If you have an argument, if you have an argument, put it in the comments. Let's see this. Let's go. Let's
tell me how wrong I am. Do it. Tell me. I will live off of it. Because here's the thing. I am a slow player. For those who know me, I have like 60 APM to my name. Literally, my nickname when I first got into the game was 3 APM Dragon. Like, I'm slow, guys. It's okay. I understand this. I'm not the fastest player. I'm not going to be able to pull off certain builds. I also am not a pro player. I am a casual player. I have reached Conk 2 I've reached Conk 1, almost even placed in Conk 2 this season. I understand the game decently well, but I'm not a pro. I just understand how the mechanics work to a certain degree. So, if anything, this tier list is for more like your platinum players. Maybe you're like low diamonds, upper gold. If you're bronze or silver, I am sorry. No tier list will make a difference to you. Please just play Word of the Dragon. Just make men-at-arms, move them into your opponent base, and hope they don't know how to deal with heavy armor men-at-arms. That's your best bet, folks.
I think what I learned here is I'm just going to go all eco-French from now on.
All eco-French. Just make Chamber of Commerce. Doesn't matter where the market is. Drop like 4 TCs, 10 more markets, and then try to reach 200 eco. And if you haven't died, then in 5 minutes, you will be able to afford infinite knights. It's okay.
My teammates won't mind, right?
Yeah, and of course. Everyone should play eco-French, not raiding French, because definitely you're a better eco civ. If anyone actually took me literally there, please get help.
If you see Sir Pengwin on the ladder, boom. If you see Sir Pengwin on the ladder, boom, and you'll be fine. You'll win.
Yeah,
I promise.
Yeah, he definitely does not want to just make infinite Gazis and punish you for not having knights. That's not what he's doing at all, guys. I'm not being sarcastic.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, I will end there. Thank you, Penguin, for joining me, and thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoy and take care.